Welcome back. Welcome back. I am Celiu. In this series, we are going to dive deep into the journey of how ordinary people become extraordinary individuals. How do they turn their dreams into reality and overcome challenges and obstacles in their life? The purpose of this series is really to inspire you to learn, to dream big, and overcome obstacles and be friend with your fears by embracing a mindset shift, a paradigm shift that can help you break through your own success. Through our conversations today, we will explore how perseverance, mentorship, and a strong support system can help anyone, including you, to rise above challenges and achieve greatness. And most importantly, to have fun and be happy in your life. Today, it is my honor to introduce you to Gentry Brooke. Gentry, welcome. Thank you for accepting my invitations to today's interview.
Thank you, C. I'm so happy to be here and really excited for our conversation today.
I'm excited to dive in. But first, let me read Gentry bio. Gentry, she grew up on a family farm in a small rural community, surrounded by loved ones, but also impacted by addictions, difficult relationship, and loss. She became very familiar with the struggle of people pleasing, wearing masks in front of others to hide her inner brokenness, life transition struggle, and the effect of trauma on the body. Reflecting on her experiences, Gentry realized she was always seeking lessons, both from her own life and others. And she grew into grateful for the growth that came from the hardship in her life. Over the years, Gentry explored many careers, but found her true passion in being a wife, a mother, and supporter for her family and her community. During the pandemic in 2020, she noticed how people were coping with uncertainty and the growing mental health crisis. She became deeply concerned about the lack of directions and purpose in life, connection, and hope that they all felt. After praying for guidance, Gentry led Gentry felt led to become a neurotransformational life coach. She founded Gentry Brooke, Coaching for Life, and is excited about making an impact, a meaningful impact, helping others transform their life as she has hers now. Gentry, welcome to today's interview. Now,
Thank you.
I really love your story. And of course, I would love to hear more about it because I believe many of us who is hearing this interview today will be able to relate to your story. But before we dive into deeper, I want to ask you, how do you define living intentionally with purpose? And why do you think is so important during the time of transition?
Well, C, that is a great question. Again, thank you for having me here. I'm so happy to be with you today. Um, I define living intentionally with purpose as choosing each moment who you are, our core self, our core identity, and who we're going to be, the actions that reflect that core self. We're growing and changing through our individual process of life. And we have the opportunity to grow our core self as we experience life through these transitions and as we learn from those experiences. When we are living with intentionality, with purpose, our focus may change through the transitions in life, but our intention and purpose can be a stable inner peace that goes and grows with us.
Hmm. Now, Gentry, many of my audience who are listening to this today, it's like one word that you keep repeating is core self. What is core self?
Core self is who you are underneath all of the layers and maybe identities and stories that you have picked up along the way. That is our core self, our spirit, our who we are inside.
Hmm. Now, if I'm new to transformation, I am very intelligent with my books. I go to school, I go to post-secondary school. For some of my audience, even have a PhD. But then in school, they never taught us about core self. What do you mean by layers? I don't get it.
Mm.
Can you give me an example as well in your life?
Sure. So layers would be something that we picked up along the way. It's a bit like an onion. When you're peeling back the layers of an onion, you get down to this thick little core in the middle of it. As we're growing in life, we sometimes will pick up little layers of stories or identities um, that maybe we adopt along the way, and oftentimes we don't even realize the stories and identities and layers that we're picking up. So an example might be that I'm not good enough, or I'm not pretty enough, or a lot of I'm not enough, or I'm too much of. Um, I struggled a lot with one of the layers and identities that I had picked up was that I won't be accepted for who I am. And that is something that I've been able to work through as well. And I didn't even realize that I had picked up this layer, and I had picked it up, decades ago, that I wouldn't be accepted as I was, and just with my individual personality. So I began to try to change it with depending on who I was, so that I could make sure that everybody around me was happy with who I was, instead of just being able to be myself in different situations.
That is a good example. As you were talking about, I can totally relate that to me. And one of the limiting belief that is still controlling me that I pick up, I don't know when, is because I'm not number one in my class, I don't deserve to make a lot of money. I
Mm.
didn't even know that was a limiting belief, and that actually impact me over the years. And that's why we see so many perfectionists. It's like, after I get a degree, it's not good enough. Let's get a master. After a master, it's still not good enough. Let's get a PhD. And after a PhD, one PhD is not good enough. Let's get a second, a third, and a fourth. um, yeah, that's why
Yeah,
we see so many people nowadays have a lot of potential behind the names, because it is that limiting belief that you were saying, right? That
right.
drive our life.
Yes, yes. And people pleasing and perfectionism, they're kind of cousins with one another, and they're rampant in the way that we receive and process information, and even the way we act on information. So a small example of taking on that people pleasing, and the way that I found myself that I do that is, you might be talking with a friend, and they might say something along the lines of, "Oh, I can't stand pizza." And the people pleaser would take that information and put it in the file folder named that friend. And so that we can have that readily available the next time that we want to talk with that friend or do something with that friend, we know, oh, she said that she can't stand pizza. So we will process that information and make sure that the next time we see her, we won't invite her to pizza. We won't make pizza. And in fact, we're not even ever going to talk about pizza, because we don't want to make her feel uncomfortable because she said, I can't stand pizza. And it's very draining. We're using a lot of energy to try and accommodate all these things that we interpret as we receive information, when in fact the friend may have just been eating pizza for the last week and she's sick of it. Give her a couple of weeks and she'll want to go eat pizza with you again. So we just really have to be aware of the information that we're taking in, how we're processing it, and the energy and time that we're spending on things that maybe we could um, focus our energy and time on something different.
Right. And as you were talking about that, you know what, Gentry? Now you say you found your passion as a mother, as a wife, and as a supporter for your community. And you have the characteristic of a people pleaser. To me, right away, I'm like, your life is chaotic.
Yes,
It's like, and Christmas is here.
yes.
So I like, okay, I think a lot of women in our audience, they can probably relate. I'm a woman. I'm a people pleaser too. I will always remember what they like, what they don't like. So make sure that on the table, there's always something for people who like that dish. And you're trying to support everyone because your mother-in-law could be calling. It's like, can you come and make turkey? Or your mom is like, can you come and help me decorate this and do this and do that? Okay. No wonder people are overwhelmed and exhausted. Tell me, Gentry, if I'm a woman, I'm an educated woman, I am tired all the time, but I don't even realize that I'm a people pleaser. Where do I go? How do I start?
Well,
And
the
what do you
first,
see in your client when they first come to you?
well, kind of like we talked about earlier, we don't even realize oftentimes the stories and these traits that we've picked up and adopted into our life. So just by talking and sharing and really trying to understand the person that I'm with, um, in a coaching session, because that's what I do and how I help people, to identify those stories and those identities that we've picked up along the way. And then once we identify them and see kind of how they're showing up in our life and what we're taking that to mean about ourselves, and maybe there's a need that had been that we were using that to meet in our life that doesn't even apply anymore, but we've still held on to that. Once we identify that, we can begin to look and see where along the line of our life we picked that story up, that identity up, that need up. And once we find that, we can begin to come back into our life now and maybe begin to make some different choices and adjust to how we respond to things in a way that's more supportive of our mind and our body and our spirit, that resonates more with who we are now and who we want to be in the future.
Hmm. Now, Gentry, I have a question. As we know, everyone, majority of the population, we set our vision in January 2025. This is what I want to do. But then, according to research, by January 21st, 90% of the population give up their vision. So I have two questions to this big question, two part. Number one is everyone set vision, but it's so hard to keep going when there's no support. What would you suggest? And second is when clients come to you, they don't just say, Gentry, I realize that I need to grow myself. No, they don't do that. So what kind of challenges or emotions do you often see in your clients when they finally call you up and say, Gentry, I need your help?
When someone first calls me or we connect in some way, they're usually a little bit nervous. Some are not familiar with coaching yet, and they just maybe want to try it and see if that can help them in some way because something's just off. They know that they might be stuck in an area of their life, or um, they're not reaching the goals the way that they had hoped to. They might be repeating behavior patterns in their life that keeps getting them the same result that they keep telling them that they don't want, but yet they keep finding themselves in this cycle, and they're just not quite sure where that's coming from or what to do with that. So when they come to me, first of all, my coaching processes are I like them to be very comfortable and familiar. We don't sit in an office or lay on a couch unless you want to lay on a couch. You're welcome to do that, but it's more like you're coming over to my house to have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, and we're chatting for a bit. We are. It's very conversational and very non-invasive, uh, gentle, and we just begin to kind of bring some awareness to where these things might be coming up at, and maybe what the root is of some of these thoughts and beliefs. But we don't stick in the past. We take what we learn so that we can make different choices now, so that you can get different results in the future.
Mm. Hmm. So we sit down for coffee in a relaxing environment for you to know me, right?
Right.
Mm. Now, so in your coaching, you are helping your client to identify who they, I guess, like who they want to be in life. Am I correct?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
And especially when their current identity seems to be tied to the past belief, the past story, and you are helping them to remove the layers to find the core self. It sounds a little bit anxious by listening to that. How would you calm your client down when they realize that I need to do this work to make some changes in my life, but I'm scared to do the work?
Oh, because it's we don't do it all at once.
Hmm.
It's a process.
Right.
Um, just like if you're cooking or you're planning a party, or you're planning some event that you're looking forward to, you don't do everything at one time. You come in and you brainstorm about it, and you think about what you want to do, and you think about where you want to go or what you want to serve. And it's not we must do everything right now. It's a little bit at a time, because our brains can't process a whole slew of changes right at once. We have to give ourselves some time to process the new information, the identities that we're laying down, and the ones that we're picking up to serve us better in the future. So it's a process. It's not something that's done overnight or in one session. It's spread out over time, so that we have time to actually process it and receive it and implement it into our life.
What? You're trying to tell me that I can heal myself in one session? We're living in a rapidly changing world, and we have this like anxiety. I want to get it done. I want to get it done. I want to get it done. Did you see that in your client?
I have not seen it so much as I have to do it right now. But it's a lot of times with myself, I found that I wanted to come, I needed fixing. I needed somebody, here's the things that I'm struggling with. I don't know where they're coming from. I know they're not serving my purpose right now, and I need you to fix me. And it's not about fixing us. It's not about fixing us. It's about becoming aware of our choices and our beliefs that we picked up along the way. And if they're no longer serving us, to change them for something else. We're laying some things down, picking some things up. It's not about fixing us. Our past, our decisions, our experiences, it's not something to bury. Our past experiences and our choices, even the choices that we maybe wish we wouldn't have made, that is who has made us who we are. And if we can come from a place of not trying to bury our past, but to accept it and embrace it and use that and welcome it as part of who we are, and then move forward with it. It's a much more gentler way to be with yourself.
Now, Gentry, you mentioned about helping women release their old story and identities that no longer serve them. Could you share an example of how this healing process unfold? What are some common story or belief that you see that is holding women back? And audience, I want you to really listening to Gentry and see if any of the limiting belief that she mentioned that resonate with you in your life.
Well, with the identities that we pick up in life, I don't know if you, around here, we have these plants called cucumber, and they're about the size of, the seeds are about the size of, I don't know, a bean, maybe a little bit, and they're spiny. They're like a plant that's Velcro. And if you are walking through, maybe hiking through a field, these little seeds, these Velcro seeds will attach themselves to you as you're walking through the field. And sometimes you don't even know that you are picking up these cucumber. They don't really bother you too much. You don't, you're not really, you might even see them on you, but you might not till you get home and you try to do something. You might try to sit down or something, and they stick their little spinies right into your skin, and then you're aware of them. You're suddenly aware that, hey, this is not working for me. What is going on? And I kind of attribute um, the stories and the identities that we pick up in life as these cockaburs that are just sticking to us. And so when we come into the coaching process, it's to first recognize, hey, this is not, something's not right here. And we begin to remove the cockaburs one by one. Sometimes they come off in little batches. So that they're no longer poking us and prodding us and keeping us from doing what we want to do. But some of the identities and stories that we see coming into the sessions is that I'm not good enough, or I'm too much, I'm not enough, I'll never measure up. I need to be perfect for people to accept me. People won't accept me the way that I am. It's a whole gamut of beliefs that we might pick up through our lifetime. I'm not smart enough. Um, I can't do certain things because I'm not good in this area. It could be a comment that was made inadvertently by somebody along the way of, oh, you colored that picture. It's awful. Why did you pick that color? And and we take that to mean something like, I'm a horrible artist. Maybe you loved coloring before then. But that comment, you take it to mean something different than what it was, and it can affect your decisions from then on. So we in the coaching process go and we look at those things, and the stories can be very wide ranging from what we pick up in childhood and even into our young adult age. Those stories and identities that really just don't serve us any longer.
Hmm. Gentry, for women, especially women in my culture, and I'm sure with many other culture too, fear of abandonment, guilt, and shame are the most common emotions that many women struggle with. Even research has showed that. How do these emotions actually impact the women's ability to move forward in life? And how do you help them through these feelings?
Yeah, that's a great question, C. Often these are deeply rooted feelings that people may not even be aware that they're holding on to. They can show up as self-sabotaging behaviors, um, possibly even hoarding tendencies, and a general stuckness in life, that maybe no direction, or again, repeating behaviors and actions that are leading to the same repeated results that the person is claiming that they don't want in their life, but yet it keeps going in this cycle. Once a client discovers the belief or the emotion, whether it is a fear of abandonment, which is also something that I have worked through myself, and guilt and shame, then we can begin to work through that, not only to recognize where it showed up in their past, but to empower the client to relate to that story or emotion in a way that they can move forward with it in a way that supports them rather than hinders them. And again, each person and their experiences are different, so that process may look slightly different for each one that comes in.
I see. And Gentry, you talk about You are a people pleaser. You were, right? So, people pleasing and perfectionism are often deeply ingrained in women life too. How do these tendencies show up in your client? And what step do you take to help them overcome them?
Perfectionism can show up in any type of delayed action or perpetual revision of a maybe a creative production. It's not This perpetual revision isn't coming from a place that where you have maybe learned something new and then you're revising it, but from a place of never being satisfied with it to begin with. And I help people that want to relate to others with the people pleasing and themselves with the perfectionism differently in those areas by first again identifying where it's showing up, how it shows up for them, and looking at the need that that's fulfilling in the life in their life or the story that's being told in their head in those moments. And when we can identify where that began, we can understand better from our current perspective and begin to implement maybe some new choices. And it's important to know that anytime that we're dealing with a change and something that's been maybe around for decades, that it isn't overnight, but you're able to be aware and recognize when it wants to show up in your life. And in those moments, you can choose to make a different decision. You can understand in those moments. It's not like I'm never going to deal with this again. I've dealt with this once and it's never going to show up again. It likely will for a time at least, but you're going to recognize it and be able to make a different choice in that moment that's going to serve you better. And it's very empowering to have that awareness of why you're making decisions in your life the way that you're making them.
Okay, Gentry. Right now is December. Christmas is coming. Many women are busy grocery shopping, wrapping gifts, Christmas shopping, decorating. We are doing everything and we are tired. And a lot of the women say, yeah, Gentry, whatever you say, I have them. Even I say, yeah, I feel I'm not good enough. I'm not measure up. I don't matter. I have all these limiting beliefs. Now what? Now I have to call Gentry. Help me. So, because it is Christmas time, what would you suggest to the women, to the audience today? Like give 3 to 5 practical tools that they can use right away. If they say that, yeah, I'm a people pleaser. I have to do so many things for everyone. I'm a perfectionist. Nothing seems to work. I am panicking. And even in our annual performance right now in December, your boss could be saying that, oh my God, everything is good. But then, you know what? You really need to improve on this one thing. Perfectionist is like, oh my God, they can't stop thinking about what would you recommend for them to do to really help them to have a peace of mind and have a great Christmas.
Well, one thing, that's a great question, C, and it can go so many different directions. But uh, one thing that I would suggest that a person could start with is just by really examining what actually is important to them in that time, in that moment. So maybe that might look like not decorating the house like we're going to the governor's house. It could be keeping the decorations simple. It could be keeping the gifts simple. And just to maybe realize and be aware of the expectations that we're putting on ourselves that really is only expectations that we're putting on ourselves, and nobody else is expecting that from us. So just to take an inventory or a stock of what we feel like we have to do and what we actually have to do, what we feel like we need to do to make somebody else happy, and what we actually want to do to maybe spread joy in the season. Another thing is to maybe lighten up the load that we put on ourselves. I was talking with somebody this morning, in fact, about having these goals that they want to get their house ready um, for the new year, and they want to get uh, their goals all ready for the new year. And in fact, I don't do goal setting December, I set aside January for that. And I'm creating a workshop to work on that that I'll be sharing later on. But so January is my planning time for the full year. So that comes off of the busy season of December where all the craziness is, and I put it somewhere different. It goes in January, and that's when I begin to take a look at my last year and what I want to do differently in the year ahead and what that might look like in the coming months. That's when I do my deep cleaning and everything gets done in January. That way, not everything is in the month of December, and I can take a little step back and enjoy Christmas and enjoy the time with my family and do the things that are enjoyable to me that I don't put so much pressure on myself. Sometimes um, it's like a badge of honor to put pressure and to be busy. And it's really not a badge of honor. It's not taking care of ourselves mentally and physically and even spiritually when we're trying to compete with this unknown expectation that we don't ever even know when we've reached the pinnacle of it. So just to be aware and to take stock of what you're doing and the reason behind what you're doing and what maybe some things can be let go of or set aside or rescheduled for another time just to take the pressure off a bit.
Now, Gentry, I think our audience are very, very curious. What is your turning point for you, Gentry? Because you have always been a people pleaser. And as a mother, as a wife, as a supporter for your community, because I know you do a lot for your community. How do you find the balance? And when do you realize that, okay, I need to stop become a people pleaser because it doesn't serve me?
I think one of the most important awarenesses to have and for a person that tends to want to people please is to understand where you're coming from. Oftentimes, people pleasers also just enjoy helping people. We enjoy supporting people and offering assistance or help where needed. So that's part of what lights us up and gives us joy is to be able to come alongside someone and help. So just to recognize if we're doing it because we feel like we need to, like we have to do something in order to make that other person accept us, or if we're doing it because it's something that we truly enjoy doing and we really want to show that's the way that we show our love, the way that we show them that we care about them, just to understand where our come from is in a situation, and if we're doing it because we want to be accepted or because we want to show our love and appreciation for someone else. And that can really make a big difference in whether we say yes to something or whether we say no or not at this time to something.
Wow. So as you were saying that, I'm like, now that what you mean by the core self, right? Whatever we want to do, let's pause a little and ask ourselves, am I doing it because I want to get accepted? Am I doing it because I want to get love from that person? Or it is from my core self that I actually enjoy it. I
Right.
actually want to do it from myself and not asking for anything in return.
Exactly.
Wow, that is so awesome. Okay, Gentry. Now, one of the, okay, I know we're getting longer here, but I am so fascinated. So I want to ask you a couple more last questions, okay?
Okay.
What is the most rewarding part of helping women through this transition?
Um, well, as you know, we as women, we go through so many transitions in life when we're going off to college and we're starting our own lives, maybe marriage, possibly children. The children then leave and our parents age. There's just so many different stages that we go through in life and roles that we take on as we go through those transitions. The most rewarding part for me in helping people, specifically women of all ages going through different transitions in life, is to see those light bulb moments of awareness, the aha moments that I didn't even know I was doing that. moment, or wow, I can't, and just to see it soak in and be thinking of all the ways that they can see that show up in their life, something that they may have been carrying around for decades without even knowing it, and the opportunity to just shed that layer and choose a different path. The way that not only their life can change because of that, but the lives of everyone they touch. Basically, the domino effect. It's incredibly honoring and humbling to be a part of someone's journey that can potentially change their life in such a powerful way. And I am so proud of the ladies that I've had the opportunity to work with so far. They're amazing humans, and I get the gift of knowing them, knowing their stories, and knowing their hearts.
Wow, you talk about aha moment. I'm just curious. What is your aha moment, Gentry, as you go through this transformation yourself?
Mm, my aha moment was when I realized that I was helping people to, sometimes I wanted to help them to be the person that I needed them to be, rather than um, helping them for the sake of helping them. Because I felt pressured, and I had a need for people to be there that maybe weren't there for me, or a need for something that wasn't met when I needed that. Helping to me um, often meant trying to shape people's lives um, to in such a way that they were who I needed them to be, rather than just helping them to help them be who they are, to help them in the moment, wherever they were in that moment. And also, on the same token, to not take everything that everybody is putting on me to be for them. They might be doing the same thing to me because they have a need that hasn't met in their life, and that's projecting on me. That's not something that I have to take up for myself. That's not my need to meet. That is their need to meet. And so, really, this reflection of what's mine is mine, what's theirs is theirs, what's theirs is not mine, and what's mine is not theirs in terms of what we have to deal with. It's not mine to deal with things that they need healing in their life. I don't have to take on that as it's my own stuff to deal with. And other people don't have to take on what's mine to deal with. That's my responsibility to heal and to take steps to grow um, from from those stories and identities that I've taken on in life. That's not their responsibility to heal me. That's my responsibility. So that has been life changing for me. And I can see that affecting me through the rest of my life, really.
Wow. So what I'm hearing is a lot. I'm not sure if our audience hear that, but what I'm hearing is, especially Christmas is coming, we're going to big gatherings. We will always end up meeting the uncles and the aunts that we really don't want to meet. Or they will ask us a question that is so annoying. It's like, can you stop asking that questions every single year for the last 30 years? Um, so what I hear is healing is my responsibility. And sometimes when people put demand on us, we need to pause and realize that that is not mine. That is theirs. So don't take it in. And
Right.
because it's my responsibility, so we have to stop complaining, blaming, and shaming. If everyone can take on that responsibility, don't you think that Christmas will be so much fun and relaxing?
I think so. I think so. And it's really important just to meet people where they are. The annoying uncle is not, maybe he enjoys being annoying. I don't know. But it's okay. In the grand scheme of things, it's just okay, because he might not be there next year. And so just to love people where they're at, in the moment, and all that comes with that. the annoyances and the humor and the joy and the frustrations. We all have that. We're just all human when it comes down to it. We and just to accept people and to love people where they're at and in that moment. And it's so easy today to be a victim. If we want to be a victim, nobody's going to stop us. It's our job to say, I'm not going to be a victim, I'm going to be a victor in life. And it's our job to take the steps necessary to make that happen.
Wow. I am so empowered. So you mean that there's hope?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that would be the thing that I would want my clients to take away from our session, from our time together, would be hope. And it's not the kind of hope of wishing on a star kind of hope, but the hope that's rooted in trust and faith. And that kind of hope is has action attached to it. And that kind of hope changes lives. They can take that kind of hope with them beyond our session into their lives and spread it to others. And something that good, you can't keep it to yourself. So it's going to just sprinkle out everywhere. And so I would say hope is the thing that I really want people to come away with.
And we don't have to do it alone.
No, you don't have to do it alone. In fact, doing it in a community or with others that are supporting and advocating for you makes that journey so much more enjoyable. And you pick up new relationships and new friends along the way. Don't do it alone because there's people there that have been where you are and they want to advocate for you and help you in your journey too.
Oh, don't you guys want to bring Gentry home as your wife, as your mother, as your supporter? Oh, Gentry. Now, my very last question is, again, two-part to the big last question. You mentioned that you're going to start a workshop in January to help people go through setting goal. Do you have the details on it yet? And second is, where can we find you?
Well, I will answer the second question first. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I will be soon, a YouTube channel will be available also. And my email is mycoachgentrybrook@gmail.com. And I have a website also that you can schedule a complimentary consultation with me through the website, or you can email me and I can get that scheduled for you. The website is mycoachgentrybrook.com also. And yes, I am planning the workshop. I hope you like games because we're going to play some bingo with getting our goals in line for the coming year. So I don't have all the details worked out yet on that, but as soon as I do, I will be letting everyone know.
Okay, so how do I know? Is it on your website?
It will be on my website, and I will also put it on my LinkedIn and my Instagram.
Mm. Or else can we be part of your email list so you can email it to us, right?
Yes, that is correct. You can be a part of that.
Okay. So remember everyone to email Gentry. It sounds fun. Bingo with a goal setting. Is it going
That's
to be
right.
online or in person?
I'm going to be doing mostly online, several different sessions, and then in my town, I'm going to be doing a couple of in-person events as well.
Okay. So some of you who will fall in love with Gentry, I'll ask this last question for you guys. Where is your town? Oh, you're not allowed to say it.
I am in the middle of the United States.
All right, I try my best. Okay, thank you, Gentry. Thank you, Gentry, for accepting my invitations to the interview today. We all get really, really good informations, and I hope people re-watch and re-listen to it again and again because Gentry dropped a lot of bomb in this interview. And you can find out Gentry and how to connect with her in the chat box below, and I will provide that information as well. Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Thank,
Gentry.
thank you, C. It's been a pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you.